Hey, happy Friday, everyone. It's Alan Murabayashi speaking to you from PhotoShelter World Headquarters here in New York City. Happy to have Sarah Jacobs joining me again. Hello, Sarah Jacobs.
Hi, how you doing?
We thought it was kind of a slow week in photography, but then at the last day or so, we found some stuff that's actually pretty interesting. As always, there's always stuff going on in photography. And actually, we started the week with a post that we did that turned out to be, I wouldn't say wholly controversial, but it certainly caused a bit of a stir. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes, sorry.
So that post, you know, Sarah and I had been talking for some time about creating a post about 14 female photographers that you should know now. And the gist behind that wasn't to come up with a comprehensive list that we thought was representative of all the great photography that's going on out there, created by women, but rather women who we thought were doing some pretty great work right now, and therefore you should know their work right now.
Right.
So I think all in all, the reaction was pretty good. But
Yeah,
we did
it got
see,
shared a lot.
yeah, it got shared a lot. We did see some, as always, some people shared their opinions with us in regards to what was missing from the list. And so, you know, let me specify. Let me specify, Sarah. We
Okay.
had some concern about the lack of Black, Latina, and Asian women on the list. And as we did in one of the comments in the blog that said there are no hardcore female photojournalists on the list. So let me take on the latter. First of all, there are hardcore female photojournalists on the list.
Yep, Barbara Davidson, example
Barbara
A.
Davidson, yes. Amy Vitale, example B. Diana Markosian, example C. They are all producing high-quality documentary work, or have done in the past, have been in dangerous situations, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that was just a case of a person looking for specific names that he did not see on the list and raising a flag for those people. Totally understand. Don't know some names. I mean, that's the point of the list, that you learn some new people. Amy, you know, I think one of his other points was there are no National Geographic people. Amy Vitale is most certainly a National Geographic photographer, doing a lot of great work on poaching, as we mentioned in the blog post. The first criticism, in terms of not having any Asian, Black, or Latina people, well, that would be factually true. The closest we have to Asian would probably be Diana Markosian, who is Russian, and I guess that is part of the European and Asian area. But everyone else, as far as I know, is white.
Yeah, Amanda was born in Spain.
Okay, Amanda was born in Spain.
But now lives
still
in
kind of white.
Yes.
From the Asian guy point of view, that would still constitute as white.
Yes.
Now, you know, Sarah, when we were throwing together this list, first of all, I thought it was a little weird. Not weird. I thought it was interesting that when you create a list of a minority, i.e. women, minority in the sense of they're underrepresented in photography, at least insofar as having, like, you know, there's no equivalent David Hobby or Joe McNally, really, of that stature, or Chase Jarvis.
Mm-hmm.
When we looked at the World Press Photo winners, there was a complete dearth of women in the list. And it's one thing that we said, you know, in regards to like Barbara Davidson's work. It's like she has consistently won like high accolades for her work, and one of the few, I think, that year after year after year wins stuff. So we put together this list of women who we consider to be a minority in photography, which I don't think is an opinion. I think that's a fact in terms of being honored and gaining accolades, etc. But it wasn't enough to just mention the women, because now you have the minority, i.e. Black, Asian, Latina. When we looked at the photography, we weren't thinking, let's find the best black photographer, emerging photographer doing relevant work right now. We just said, what's the best work visually that we're looking at? And I think that's where that argument sort of falls down. I think if we created a list where we specifically said, here are black female photographers emerging, I mean, unfortunately, that's the case, right? One of the comments was, it's sad that this list has to exist because the merits of a photographer shouldn't rest on whether they're black or white, female or male. But in my opinion, as long as someone is a minority, then you do have to stand up for that minority. We didn't include minority women, but not because we weren't looking. No, in fact, because we weren't looking. Am I arguing myself out of the corner here? Say something, Sarah.
I mean, the names, yeah. I mean, the names that I pulled are photographers that I follow. I don't know anything about their personal life, but I follow them, you know, on Twitter and Tumblr, mostly on Tumblr. And these were the names that bubbled up right when you asked for female work.
Yeah. And we didn't see the complaints coming about how there were no gay women, because we did have a gay woman on the list, Cass Bird.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, part of me says, of course, there are going to be people on the internet. When you're in a public forum, you express an idea. Of course, someone's going to disagree with that idea. So I didn't get upset about this, but I do think people need to understand that this is our list. It wasn't meant to be a definitive list. We solicited people to let us know more photographers because we simply can't know what's going on in every corner of the world and what great work there is. And I think there were some great suggestions that we got through Twitter, through Facebook, on the blog, etc. Some not so great suggestions as well. But it's great to see, people doing other work. And as I've always said, Sarah, if you don't like our list, make your own list.
Make your own list, which some people did in response to our list, which is awesome.
And make your own post, respond to our post, put it out and say, hey, I totally disagree with PhotoShelter's list. Here's my list, and here's the reasons why. And I think that's a perfect way to conduct discourse on a topic of importance.
Yeah, and to let us know some more awesome photographers, because we always do want to know.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Anyway,
well, if you haven't seen that post, you got to go look at it. Find some amazing, beautiful work. I think it's the most beautiful post we've ever had up there.
It's a great post, and I like assembling that list together because it really makes you look at work in a different light and consider a variety of different factors. I mean, I think the list would look very different if we said, who are the best female photographers of the past generation? Or who are the best female photojournalists of the past generation? Because I agree. I mean, people brought up Nina Berman and people brought up Yoongi Kim, and yeah, I think they do fantastic work, and they need to be on lists, and they have appeared in some of our lists before. So I don't feel bad about excluding them from this list. I think the point of this list is very topical and very salient right now. Mm-hmm. And maybe in 2 years or a year or 6 months, when they don't have any new work that's coming out, we say, hey, those aren't the photographers you need to know now.
Yeah, and we make a nod to Sally Mann and other women who have influenced these, this new generation.
So we're right and everyone is wrong, is what you're trying to say.
No. I also love that, I wrote to these photographers and asked them to submit work, and most of them submitted work of women, pick images of women, and that just made me really happy because it's women telling women's stories, and I love it.
Yeah, and you look at someone like Sarah Lukowitz, who did the domestic violence story, mm-hmm. And in a way, it's very empowering for the victim of domestic violence, which is typically a woman. I think that you're right. I mean, I think they're telling stories about themselves, which is fantastic, and irrespective of whether you're a man or a woman, you end up having better stories when the story is really something close to your heart.
Yeah, yep.
Switching gears, now that we beat that horse to death, we couldn't go a week without bringing up the Getty thing that happened last week. And the Getty thing that happened last week, if you weren't aware, is that Getty Images released a new system to embed over 35 million images for free for non-commercial use. And we talked about that ad nauseum last week, so we don't want to get too much into that. But here is an article from the Electronic Frontier Foundation that does a lot with defending your digital rights and has done for the past 10 or 15 years or so. And their point is not about, they actually were complimentary, Sarah, to Getty for saying, hey, thank God for trying a new business model.
Right,
Which I sort of agree with as well, and we talked about that last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
But their concern, as a number of pundits have pointed out, is sort of the privacy issues of now you have this piece of tracking content on your website, and can it see where you've been, and is it tracking stuff that it shouldn't be, and what are the big data implications, etc. So nothing terribly earth-shattering versus other opinion that we saw last week, but coming from a pretty credible source that takes this pretty seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty quiet this week in regards to the Getty Images thing. I thought there would be a lot more hubbub about it.
Yeah, well, I did like that this article brought up Creative Commons, which
Yes.
I hadn't been reading about really last week. And also, when I think of Creative Commons, I mean, a huge platform for that is Flickr.
Flickr, yeah.
And this week, Getty and the Getty Flickr collection ceased to exist.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted to ask your opinion, like, do you think that is because of this new embed?
No, not at all. I think, my understanding of it was there was a 6-year deal in place between Getty, or 5 or 6 year deal in place between Getty and Flickr. And when that deal came up for renewal, the parties couldn't make the math work, and so they decided to terminate that relationship.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was on like a deadline. I see.
Yeah, I think that the direction that Yahoo was going, and John Harrington and a few other people pointed out, like, Getty is a company that went private as a result of a cash infusion or basically being bought by a private equity group called the Carlyle Group. And like any investor, the Carlyle Group wants to see a return on their investment in a reasonable time frame.
Mm.
And so a lot of people are saying, okay, well, if you're going to go public again, re-IPO or resell yourself to someone else, you better have a growth trajectory that gives you a nice multiple on your investment. And I think that at the rate that Getty was growing, or is growing, they are looking to kind of alter the trajectory, and Flickr just wasn't that big a part of it.
Mm.
Because even before they were sold, they were doing $2 billion. So I have to assume that that number has gone up. Who knows? Interesting times.
Yeah, I want to remind all the publishers out there that there's over 20 million files, and even more, 300 million files just for Creative Commons that you can find for free that will not have ads over them later by Getty.
Yeah, but you know what? I hate it when I see mainstream publishers grabbing images for free. I mean, I understand the economics of publishing and online and blogging and whatnot, but
yeah.
I mean, they exist, and people are putting them out there, so you might as well use them, I guess. I just wish there was a way for photographers to be compensated a little bit more. But, there's definitely a bifurcation between people whose lives are reliant on generating income from photography and people who enjoy photography.
Mm-hmm. And putting it up for Creative Commons by their own choice.
I get it. And most of the but my problem is, I go to the Atlantic and I'll see an article, and they'll have a tangentially related photo from Flickr of like a banana shot in a style that has nothing to do with their lead photography.
Right.
And I just, you wish there was a photo editor in place, and you wish they were sourcing better imagery. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Yesterday in Harlem, was it yesterday or 2 days ago now?
2 days, I believe.
Wow. So 2 days ago, 9:30 a.m., a building collapsed because of a gas break. Some of the gas lines running under the building were over 100 years old. But one of the things that was pointed out is people saw a drone flying around the building. And people saw the drone and they said, "Whoa, is it the NYPD doing, photos, surveying the area in an area where it would be dangerous or prohibitive to fly a helicopter? So maybe they're using drones." Well, it turns out it wasn't the NYPD. It was a dude named Brian Wilson. And look at this photo.
It's amazing, but
it's amazing.
Tragic.
Yeah, and here is, I think the deaths are up to 6 or 8 now, and scores of people are injured. And here's Brian Wilson with the DJI Phantom with, I guess, a GoPro attached to the camera, just flying it around. And this is kind of what he does. One of the things he does.
Yeah. Looks like he's got a pretty nice setup on that controller. Like, he's watching what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't even think Eric Chang did that, who we interviewed about drones.
Eric did have a way to sort of monitor what was going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, drone photography, they hate it when we call them drones. They hate it when we call them drones.
Well, what else should we call them?
Octocopters or quadcopters.
Quadcopters.
Look at that. So there was a quadcopter scene flying around. But I thought the images were stunning. I probably, like the police, have the same concerns about safety and the thing falling on your head. And you're a first responder. You're trying to pull people from the building. There's a quadcopter buzzing above your head, and then it runs out of battery and falls on your head, and that's not cool. But look at this photo from the Boston Globe.
Bizarre.
This is from Justin Hellman, Getty Images. You might not be able to see it on the screen, but in the upper right quadrant, there's a quadcopter, and there's like 7 firemen over in the bottom left there. I mean, just wacky stuff.
Wow.
Look at this guy, huh?
First kiss.
The first kiss. So this one pretty viral, Sergey.
Oh, it went so viral. This is a video. It got over 7 million views in a single day. And it's just a very simple video. It was for a clothing brand.
Which bummed me out.
See,
Look at this opening title. Look at this opening title. First Kiss, a film by Tatya Pilieva. It's like, I'm a film. Yeah, I know. It's like it's on Vimeo.
Mm-hmm.
They clearly, this clothing company, clearly wanted people to think that this was just some film project.
Okay. See, I went into it watching it knowing that it was a clothing commercial. So
because you didn't see it on the day of. Maybe you saw it on the day after.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it came through my feed, and I'm a sucker, and I was like, oh, this looks cheesy. This looks really cheesy. I'm gonna click it. Which obviously 7 million other people did too.
Yeah.
I think this is just a great lesson in how people love seeing that human connection.
And look at that. We asked 20 strangers to kiss for the first time. Technically accurate, but also, why not say we asked 20 relatively well-known actors?
Relatively well-known? Yeah, I guess maybe they are.
Pretty good-looking.
Pretty good-looking people. We asked 20 pretty good-looking people to kiss for the first time.
And I think people were sort of touched by the sort of the passion and connection that these people had. But again, put 2 really good-looking people in the room together and tell them to make out for the first time.
Mm.
And of course you're going to get good footage.
Yeah, but you're going to get viral footage. And I mean, look how simple this setup is. This is like, I feel like a photographer could have made this. I'm going to say that.
Right. And that I think is probably the most prescient comment, which is, why didn't a photographer make this?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
We've seen, we see something like Humans of New York, where it's just a guy, he comes up with a concept, he executes it, becomes wildly successful. And then you see something like this. I mean, if it was not a viral video for a clothing company, it would still be successful. It became successful on its own merits.
Yeah, exactly.
And so when we talk about, how do you create viral content? Well, you never know what's really going to go viral, but I think this sort of points out the importance of personal projects, even though this wasn't a personal project. It could have been a personal project. There's nothing so unique about the production of this. It's gray seamless. It's one light. It's two people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Well, this film, or this Vimeo, reminded me a lot of Richard Rinaldi's Strangers Touching series. In fact, also that was another thought that went through my head. I was like, oh, they totally stole Richard's idea of photographing complete strangers in public touching each other as though they know one another.
Yeah, and I thought that was actually more successful.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it's better photography.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is executed way better.
Yeah.
And it's just a larger series. It's a larger body of work that he's been raising money for. He did a Kickstarter trying to raise $10,000 to get a book of this work published, and he raised $80,000. And I think that's another little clue, right? That people really want to see this type of stuff, and feel that human connection. And I've seen interviews with people that were in some of Richard's pictures, and they go, they say, oh, it felt so weird at first, but then by the end of the shoot, it felt totally normal and okay. And sometimes they'll hug the stranger by the end of the shoot, So it's just a nice reminder that people want to be loved,
The thing that I liked about the Rinaldi work, which was my criticism about that viral video, was the Rinaldi work are like real people in
right.
like real settings. There's the environmental portraiture angle of it, but a lot of the associations he made were like black people and white people, old people and young people.
Mm-hmm.
It was necessarily discomforting in a way for those people to be like, you're not the type of person I really hang out with. Like I found that as sort of a recurrent theme in the stuff that he's shooting. And again, you go back to that viral video, it's like, let's put a lot of attractive people and watch them make out. It's like, oh wow, that was tough. That was really challenging.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. And Richard's work is 100 times better.
Yeah.
100 times.
You have another.
Yeah, this is just
another one here.
Yeah, another little photo series that I adore. This was shot by Maya 4, and it was for Bullet magazine. And this is the type of work. I'm so happy that print magazines are soliciting photo series like this, because it makes me. I'm gonna go buy a print copy of Bullet now, because I saw this online. Now I'm gonna go purchase it. But Maya shot these amazing female artists for this series, and it was in front of pieces of their diaries. So they tore sheets from their diaries, printed them out, enlarged them, and she placed them in front of them. Very simple idea, but well executed and fun.
And we like the concept. I mean, I think it's like relatively simple to execute.
Absolutely.
It's an original idea. It's good photography. It's interesting, and it's, I guess, going back to that connection with people.
Yeah. It's
a connection with these people.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting a little glimpse into their brain via their diaries.
Yeah, I like that project a lot.
Yeah.
You were kind of on a roll this week.
I know, yeah. I found some nice stuff. Yeah, Bill Cunningham has a show opening up at the New York Historical Society, which starts today. And he shot a bunch of vintage outfits, wardrobes, all around New York and sightseeing in New York. And
this is back in the day, his early work.
Yeah, his early work. But as you can tell by the subway, that's like, he shot these in the 80s?
Yeah, looks like it.
Which I'm happy to know, because, of course, I've seen images like this float around online, on Tumblr and all that, and, no credit, no idea what's happening. Why is this woman in a subway with this, like, 20s style outfit? So I'm happy to finally understand, oh, okay, it was a project by Bill Cunningham.
And why don't you describe who Bill Cunningham is for those who don't live in New York?
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, Bill Cunningham does street fashion photography. He does fashion photography, mostly street photography, for New York Times? New York Times.
New York Times, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen that documentary about him, fantastic documentary.
Oh, yeah, amazing documentary. Yep.
I wish I remember what it was called. Was it called Bill Cunningham?
Yeah, Bill Cunningham's New York or something?
Yeah. Great, like sweetest guy in the world. Great documentary.
Yes, sweet little old man. And I watched that movie and I saw him the next day out in Union Square.
He's out and about, man. That guy's a spry dude riding his bicycle.
Oh, I know.
Before City Bike even existed.
Yep.
You love the VSCO app.
I do. I mean, I don't use it on my computer. VSCO is a camera app for the phone, but also they have Lightroom plugins that allow your photos or adjust your photos to look closer to film. And I only use it on my phone every once in a while, but I got an email in my inbox. They're doing a scholarship for $100,000 to give out to artists that use VSCO. Maybe it's so that they can actually buy a real DSLR camera. I don't know. But
they could get one of those Hasselblads for 50 grand.
Right, exactly. But some of the artists that they've already given funds to are great. I mean, I've followed them on Instagram. They're great artists like Kevin Russ and Street Etiquette. They do fashion stuff and adventure things, and I'm excited about this. It makes me happy that a company like this is supporting the arts with $100,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
I know.
That is a lot of money. Yeah, great. You know, I'm looking at this, and I always called it VSCO because I thought it was like some cool internet thing.
Uh-huh.
But it turns out it's just Visual Supply Company, so I guess VSCO is the better pronunciation of that.
VSCO, yeah, I guess so. Yes.
I'm going to keep calling it VSCO. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, right. Why not? Very sad to see Calumet close suddenly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Even employees didn't know this was coming. They apparently got phone calls or emails or tweets or texts or something to not come in and that the store would be closing. And, you know, in B&A in New York, we don't, I mean, there is a Calumet, or there was a Calumet. In New York, we're not as affected because we have the huge retailers like Adorama and B&H Photo. And that's where most New Yorkers will do their shopping. But I know that in other parts of the U.S., Calumet is kind of the camera store for people.
Yeah, I shopped at Calumet in Boston. That's where I would get all of my gear and papers.
So there was an article on the British Journal of Photography today stating that they are declaring Chapter 7 bankruptcy to restructure, and they were hoping to get an infusion of cash from an investor who pulled out at the last minute, which is the reason why they shut down so suddenly. But Calumet is a British-based company, and the president of Calumet, according to this BJP article, said we intend to reopen in the U.S. at some point in the future. So
I hope so.
Hopefully, you know, some restructuring, probably closing a few stores, and then we'll get Calumet open again. You know, I know they also in a lot of areas are the only rental house for a lot of people. So there's a lot of reverberation within the photo community as a result of that. So sorry if that's your local camera store. It's a little tragic. We started with women. We were talking about the 14 female photographers you should know now, and we're actually going to end with women. And first, we thought we would bring up this. This was sort of a last-minute addition. The Target ad, Sarah.
Oh God, these poor models. Yeah, this is a terrible photoshopping job done by Target for swimsuits. And as you can see in the thigh region area.
The thigh region area. What were they calling it? The thigh gap?
They were calling it the thigh gap. That's definitely into crotch area.
Yeah, we would call that the crotch where I come from.
Yeah, that's just straight into the crotch. That's just bad. That's really bad, Target.
Now, what do you think they were trying to do here?
See, that's what confuses me. Because the thigh, no, they're not trying to fix the thigh gap. I'm not sure what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I would love to see the before image just to understand, like, was it riding a little funny? Was the material a little wrinkled? Because that's just not. That doesn't look like it's solving anything.
No.
Well, clearly it's not. It's not solving anything.
No. No, it's creating a big problem.
Well, that was very funny, you know. And I saw other photos of this model, who's a beautiful, beautiful young woman, and it's just tragic that this, you know, now she's going to be famous for the thigh gap incident, Thighgate,
Okay.
so we like to call it. And I saw, you know, of course, when you log into Facebook or you look at your Twitter feed, there's always the next viral thing that's going around. And College Humor produced a pretty funny video kind of talking about photoshopping. And so here we go. Photoshop creates unrealistic beauty standards, and the following video shows you the Photoshop process in reverse. So they're saying, how on earth did we get to this beautiful model? So it's one of these things where they, you know, they're doing screen capture and they speed it up. And so initially, you know, you see it and maybe you don't know that this is actually a joke because you saw it in your newsfeed and you didn't know it was coming from College Humor. And the first few adjustments actually, you know, when they use the tool to kind of fatten her midsection up a little bit, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much they use the liquify tool to like make her look better. And then you're like, wait, okay, so clearly this is some sort of parody. But by the time you get to the end, I mean, you probably get a little bit of a sense now of what she's turning into. It's just a very funny video.
Oh,
it's a very funny video. Without, yeah, I don't want to ruin the.
Oh.
Sarah just said it, but you should watch it. You should watch it. And then our last uplifting link. This is great.
Wonderful.
The company is Beta Brand, which is one of those internet clothing companies.
Mm-hmm.
And
much like Ren, they did a totally opposite thing.
Yes.
Than Ren did.
So Ren did the fake viral kiss, and Beta Brand said, we're going to replace our normal models with female PhDs.
Boom.
Boom shakalaka. So here in the mustard check shirt dress, Inez has her PhD in electrical and computer engineering from the University of California, Irvine. Gray confetti popover shirt, Asha has her PhD in cognitive psychology from Stanford. Kelly is a neuropsychology PhD candidate at Stanford. Oh, so she doesn't actually have her PhD yet. So that's kind of a lie in the same way that the viral video. No, I'm kidding.
Right, right.
But man, what a great, I mean, you know, Dove Real Women campaign is one take on that, where they were sort of still concerned with body image. Mm-hmm. Dove being, you know, a beauty brand, obviously. But I love this more.
Yeah.
Because it's not even talking about like, let's try to make these people look like they're models. This is like, here are like really smart people wearing our clothes, and that's cool.
Yeah. Oh man, I hope they do well. These are great.
Yeah, I hope they do well. So what are you up to this weekend, Sarah? Are you going to shoot some photos?
I hope so. Yeah, I need some lines from the Dead Pixel assignment. I got to do that.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Zach Arias' first assignment. If you follow him on Deadpixel, DEDPXL.com, has some lines you got to shoot. And it's going to be seasonably warm finally. I think it's getting up into the 50s this weekend.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God. Yesterday was another brutal one.
And Alan, what are you doing?
I am now going to jump in my car to go to the NPPA Northern Short Course. Amy Vitale did the big speech this morning. There's some cool copyright seminars. You know, we spoke about Getty versus Morel. I think we did. The photojournalist whose image of Haiti was tweeted, and then all these agencies took it and distributed it without his permission. Right. He's doing a panel on copyright.
Oh.
With Alicia Calzada from NPPA and Yoongi Kim, another great female photojournalist. So hopefully I'll get to Rhode Island in time to watch that. Awesome.
Well, we better let you go then.
Better let me go. Hopefully, yeah, we'll see you next week with more I Love Photography, I guess.
Absolutely.
So for Sarah Jacobs, this is Alan Murabayashi. Thank you for joining us once again. I Love Photography live from PhotoShelter. Sarah wanted me to remind you to use the hashtag #ILovePhoto. I was supposed to do that at the top of the show, but I'm doing it now. If there was something that you liked on the show, tweet at hashtag I love photo or I love photography. Now let's just pick I love photo.
I love photo. It's shorter. There you go.
Shorter. And have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.